Good afternoon. This is Mary Kunsman again, back to, I call it Miracle Mondays a lot of times, but it's Musical Mondays is what it goes by. And I was supposed to do Valentine's Day next week for Braden. It just turned out that I'm in Summerville now, visiting with Winnie a few days. And so I said, well, I could do it if you want to tape it in the week. He said, just come on Monday and we'll put it on. So I don't know if you'll see this today or if you see it next Monday. Anyway, we have to get in the mood for Valentine's Day. We have to think about getting that special little Valentine, or maybe write just a little note. That person might prefer to have a personal note written to them rather than you go and buy something and just hand it to them. You see, that they love a personal touch that comes from the heart. And when you write it yourself, whether it's a man to a woman or a woman to a man, it works both ways. Of course, when it's a girl to a guy, it works that way too. And so I just thought I might sing you a few songs that get you in the mood for Valentine's Day coming up really soon. And I've got on my red today. So I just thought, I'll just sing some songs. Some of them you might have heard before. If you're up in a few years, you'll know a lot of them. Some of you people have never heard, so I introduce them to you. Like something like, they say that falling in love is wonderful. It's wonderful, so they say. And with the moon up above, it's wonderful, so wonderful, so they tell me. I can't recall who said it. I know I never read it. I only know they tell me that love is grand, and the thing that's known as romance is wonderful, wonderful in every way. So they say, and so say I. It is. Now, when you're young, sometimes you have a little crush on a movie star or the boy that you see at school that maybe not speak to you at all, but you have a little crush on him anyway, and it may not work. When I used to go to my teen canteen in Columbia, I was a Columbia girl a few years ago, and I knew how to dance because my brother had taught me to dance, but nobody would get me on the floor, so they did not know I could dance. And I said to my brother, just get me on the floor so they know I can say, I can't dance with my sister. I said, you do it all the time at home. That's different. Tell me the difference. I don't know the difference. That dancing in public is any worse than, well, you see, that gave me a little bit of an inferiority complex, thinking, well, he doesn't want anybody to know I'm his sister. We were a year and a half apart, but 1 grade apart, because actually I started school in January. My birthday was in December. I could not start in September when everyone else. So in January, I was in the first half of the first grade. And in September, I was in the second half of the first grade. Each year it was like that. And finally in the 5th grade, they said, we're going to quit having 2 commencements a year. So you either go to summer school and finish the 5th grade, or you start and take it over again. So I just went to summer school. We didn't have air conditioning those days, so it probably didn't go over 3 hours a day at the most, and no cafeteria to eat in. So we just a short time, a few weeks, all of a sudden I was in 6th grade, and I thought it was a wonderful thing to do. But I still couldn't get the fellows to dance with me when I got in high school. However, we lived right across the street from First Presbyterian Church, and one day my father said to me, why don't you come over to the dances? They need some more girls over there. And so I went over. And in this case, I was a hostess. These fellows were all like 18 to 22 range as a rule, and they were far, far from home. And I just would go over and, where are you from? Massachusetts or Long Island, they say up there. So it made me come out of my shell of not being able to ask someone, would you like to dance? And then we would dance. But anyway, as the time went on, I was thankful that I could keep up with it. Well, how about I'm going to sit right down and write myself a letter and make believe it came from you. I'm going to write words oh so sweet, they're going to knock me off my feet. A lot of kisses on the bottom, I'll be glad I got 'em. I'm going to smile and say, I hope you're feeling better. And close with love the way you do, oh yeah. I'm going to sit right down and write myself a letter. I'm going to make believe it came from you, oh yeah. And I was singing that one day, and I started thinking, who made that song popular? Do you know who made that song popular? No, it wasn't Louis Armstrong. No. I looked it up, and my computer told me it was Billy Williams. I did not Billy D. Williams, Billy Williams. And when I had him sing it, I knew, oh yeah, just the way he would say, oh yeah. And I read about him a little bit, and they said when he'd be doing a concert and he'd get to that song, the whole audience would come out into the oh yeahs, just at the right moment they knew when to do them. I'm sure he sang many other songs, and when I heard his voice, I knew that was the voice that I'd heard so many times. Sit right down, write myself a letter. Well, you couldn't very well mail it. You just had to hope that you would have found somebody that you could fall in love with someday, and you were determined, we're going to find that right fella. When I fall in love, it will be forever, or I'll never fall in love. In a restless world like this is, love is over before it's begun, and too many moonlight kisses seem to cool in the warmth of the sun. When I give my heart, it will be completely, or I'll never give my heart. And the moment I can feel that you feel that way too is when I fall in love with you. Yes, that was one from my day. You may have heard it. Some of you probably never heard it. That's okay. You've heard it today. And I'll just try to introduce a few things to you. Well, in 1945, I wasn't living across the street from the church anymore. We moved out to Two Nights Road in Columbia. But I still went to the dances. And 3 nights a week, I enjoyed them. My best friend from high school, Frances, was Baptist. She was not allowed to dance those days. She couldn't even go and watch other people dance. It just wasn't a thing to do. But one day I said to her on a Saturday, meet me tomorrow afternoon. We don't dance on Sunday. We play checkers and ping pong and shuffleboard, talk to the fellas. It's a nice way to spend Sunday afternoon. So she met me, and I took her in and found somebody to play checkers. I went to play ping pong. You remember ping pong? Some people call it table tennis. And I got pretty good at ping pong because I often played. Even the nights we had the dances, the tables were on the side, and we could go over there and play sometimes. And so I got pretty good at ping pong and loved it. Well, on this Sunday afternoon, when I started playing, I looked up and saw a good-looking fellow standing over there. I thought, oh, he is so cute. And that's okay. I went on playing with the fellow. I had no idea who I was playing with, just one of the guys. And sometimes I would say, was that on the line? Is that his point or mine? No, he said, well, it's his point or it's your point. But he definitely was watching the game and knew who was right. So when I finished, he didn't say anything. I put down the paddle, went in and sat down with Frances. And she said, Mary, this is Tom. We decided we're going to get married. I said, okay. Well, what could I say? You crazy thing, you haven't known him but 30 minutes. How in the world? Your mother's going to kill me. But anyway, they weren't playing checkers. They were talking, and he agreed with her, and she agreed with him. And he thought, this is a pretty girl. I'm going to grab her while I can. And so he said, I want you to meet Gene. Who's Gene? My buddy. He's around here somewhere. Finally, he saw that good-looking fella who had been watching me play ping pong and called him over and introduced us. And we spoke a few minutes, and then we went out to play a game of ping pong. He'd already watched me, so he knew all my weaknesses. But anyway, we had a good time. Then they walked us to the bus stop. And then after Frances was gone, I said, come to the dances on Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I'm most always there. And we have a lot of girls. Well, I say a lot, 35 or 40 girls, but we might have 65 or 70 soldiers or some airmen also. And so they would dance with you. And then if a guy wanted to dance, he'd just come and tap the fellow on the shoulder, and he had to let her go. And nobody ever got mad. They knew that was the rule. If you got the tap on the shoulder, that was your walking paper. Go get a glass of juice or find somebody else to dance with. But at this moment, this fellow had to go. That way all the guys had a chance to dance. And so if you're a pretty good dancer, sometimes you had a lot of those cuts, and cutting in is what they'd call it, cutting in. But that was the life we led. But these two fellows, they showed up a few times, just over a couple of weeks. I was always glad to see them show up. And one night, Gene says, we're shipping out tomorrow. I knew what shipping out meant. I said, good luck. And he was gone. And we didn't expect anything from these fellows. We knew they were there training to go to war. And so I just didn't hear, and he didn't say, give me your address, I'll write to you. Anyway, Frances started writing to Tom. Well, she made me write to Jean just a friendly letter, and I did. And after a few weeks, he finally wrote back. He said he'd been fighting in Okinawa. The war ended there. They were headed for Japan to fight. And they found out the Pacific War was over and in August. And then they took him to Hawaii. Well, he had to spend several months, about 6 months there to fulfill his draft time. But he wanted me to write him. The letters I started getting, I could not believe. I thought, I don't know if this fellow knows who I am. He said he fell in love with me the first day he saw me. And I thought, what a line this guy has. Well, it sounded pretty good, but I didn't dare believe it for a while. Tom got out early and did come to Columbia and married Frances, my friend. So they went to live in New York City. And then Jean and I started writing more and more. And he just begged for letters. He said, I love your letters because they are you. You see what I said about the personal touch? He loved the letter. I'd write, well, it rained today. I had to put my books under my jacket to keep them dry and, things like that. And then I was in college at that moment, USC. Oh, yes, USC, Columbia. But anyway, I just thought, well, someday maybe I'll find a fellow like that. And then I'll say, I hope he is the fellow for me. With a song in my heart, I behold your adorable face. Just a song from the start, but it soon was a hymn to your grace. When the music swells, I'm touching your hand. It tells me you're standing near. And at the sound of your voice, heaven opens its portals to me. Can I help but rejoice that this song such as ours came to be? But I always knew I could live life through with a song in my heart for you. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That's what I love that one about Jane Froman. Susan Hayward was a beautiful star back in the 40s, and I think that was made in the 50s maybe, but they used Jane Froman's voice because it was her life story, and Susan Hayward played a beautiful part. And I love that movie. You can imagine I love that movie. Lots of music in it. I loved it all the way. And then, well, finally, Jean said, I wish I knew how you feel. Maybe you don't feel the same way I feel. I thought, well, he does write some nice letters, and I guess I'll just go ahead and tell him. And I talked to Frances about it. She said, oh, yes, Mary, he's a nice guy. I think he means what he's saying. I sent him some pictures, things. He'll say, who is this girl? He liked the picture and wanted more. Well, I finally said, I felt the same way you did the first day we met. The first moment I looked at him, I thought, I know I kept asking him questions so I could look at him again. I just wanted to just get another quick look and make him stay and keep him interested. But he didn't ask me to play ping pong, and I just let it pass at that moment. But, that fellow, after I said that, I think he had to pick himself off the floor when he read that one. He wrote back to me. 2 days later, he wrote again. He proposed marriage. I didn't even know where he was from or anything at all. We never had a date. We just danced and played some ping pong, and he was gone. And I said, whoa, let's wait till you get back, and we'll talk about this face to face. But this is not a no. He said, I feel I'm the luckiest guy in the world. He said it was not a no. So we kept writing. Finally, he did come home in March. He had been gone for a year. And I met him at the station, and I was happy to see him. And then we went to my house. No, my mother wasn't there that day. She had a tourist home. I lived in the tourist home. And he said, I can't wait any longer. Somebody said, did he hit the knee? I said, no, he didn't hit the knee. He just told me right out. He didn't bring a ring. He just came because he didn't know what I was going to say to him. But he said, will you marry me? And I said, yes, I will. And I said, I have to finish this year of school. I can't walk out in April. I have to tell my parents about it. I hadn't even told them because I thought he may never show up. Then they'd have to say, where's this Mr. Wonderful? Well, he finally came, and I had to say he's been writing to me, and we enjoyed his letters. Anyway, time went on. We were married October 19th, 1946, and remained married 57 years. But when he stayed a couple of days with me, we had a lady that stayed in the tourist home named Miss Lindler. She had a photographic studio. And I said, let's go up and meet Miss Lindler. I want you to meet Miss Lindler. And I'd stop there on the way going home from school to catch a bus, and I'd run upstairs and talk to her downtown Columbia. And she said, we talked a few minutes. She said, come in here with me. She took me in the next room, and she made some pictures. And here's one of them. This was the day. Can you see that one, Josh?
Yeah.
That was the day he proposed to me. Those look like pretty happy faces, don't they? And they were. Well, this next picture looks a little bit even happier. I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me, and all's right with the world. And, the war was over, and we just, that's always been one of my favorites. She didn't make them that big. When we had our 50th anniversary, my daughter Peggy, there were about 6 of these poses that she made of us that day, and she gave us each copies. I could send them to Gene, and he was happy to have those pictures. But Peggy blew them up so she could put and mount them on this beautiful backing there. Now, a few years later, quite a few years later, we had this one made. That's some happy people, too. There's Gene, and there's Mary. Oh, we'd been to the pool or something. My hair is not too great, but anyway, I love the one of him. Look at that smile. Oh, my goodness, that smile will catch you. A certain smile, a certain face can lead an unsuspecting heart on a merry chase. A fleeting glance can mean so many lovely things. Suddenly you know why my heart sings. We'll love a while, and when love goes, we'll try to hide a tearful heart with a cheerful pose. But in the hush of night, exactly like a bittersweet refrain, comes that certain smile to haunt your heart again. Now, the man that made that one famous was Johnny Mathis. A few years ago, Peggy called me. Let me see, that was about 2011, I think. She said to me, no, it was 2015. Yeah, 2011, it was 2011. She said, Johnny Mathis is coming to Columbia. Would you like to see him? I'd love to see Johnny Mathis. Get us some good seats, Peggy. She said, and I'll bring my checkbook. And she said, write it on your calendar, April the 10th. Okay, Johnny Mathis, April 10th. I called her about a week and a half early, and I said, Peggy, I'm halfway to Columbia. I'll bet I'll know every song he sings. I hope you got good seats, Peggy. I'll bring my checkbook with it. She finally said, Mother, you know that soft daughter-to-mother voice? Mother, the concert's not till next Friday. I said, I thought it was tonight. I'm on the way now. I'm halfway to Columbia. No, Mother, it's next Friday. Her mind is running rapidly. What's happened to Mom? Well, I said, what day is this? She said, Wednesday. I said, what date is this? And she said, April 1st. I said, April Fool. I'll see you next Friday. Can you believe I did that? Now, Peggy's usually a very, very sharp gal, but I fooled her big time that day. She'll never live that one down. And so then on the way to see Johnny Mathis, Grace was with us. The 3 of us went to see him 10 days later on the 10th of April. And I said, Grace, my tax man said I could spend a little bit of Daddy's estate. Would you like to go to Alaska again with me? Because she and I had gone the year before. She said, oh, yes. And Peggy said, I want to go to Alaska. Well, she never mentioned it one time to me. And I said, oh, okay, we'll all go. I said, I think I'll invite all 7 of you girls to go with me. It'll be a girl thing. I have 7 daughters, and 1 son is a twin to the 7th daughter. So the 8 of us went to Alaska with the Gaithers. I forgot to mention the Gaithers. Got to say the Gaithers. And let's see, that was 20. It was 2015 because Grace and I went the first time in 2011, fell in love with the Gaithers, and we'd already been to 2 Gaither cruises to Alaska. Not for Alaska, but for the Gaithers, all the entourage. So my 2, Winnie and Janet, Sandy, the 2 youngest daughters, they said, well, we'll sit out by the pool while they go to the concerts. We can get us a good tan out by the pool. Let me tell you, they went to one concert. They were not about to miss one concert all the way. They loved it. I said, after you spend this week with the Gaithers, you'll think you've had a little bit of heaven. And later on, Sandy said, Mother, Thank you for giving us a little bit of heaven. And we went again in 2015, they went with us. In 2017, we did a repeat. And they were really all Gaitherites. They didn't all go that next time, only 4 of them went, but 4 of them went and loved every minute of it. And, you never know how you might be remembered by someone. One of the towns we went, they always had a free bus you could ride, just a hop-on, hop-off bus anywhere. You didn't have to pay anything. And sometimes we'd take it just a couple of times around. And Grace and I were riding one day, and a man said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "South Carolina." "Where are you from in South?" Well, I said, "I'm from the Charleston area, and she's from Columbia." And he said, "And you sing at the hospitals. And you sang to me when I had my quadruple bypass a few years ago." He remembered. I had no uniform on. I hadn't sung a note. I was just sitting there talking quietly to Grace. And somehow he remembered me. How did he remember me? I don't know. But that was a very sweet thing to hear, that I had touched his heart a little bit. And that's what I tried to do. 16 and a half years, 5 days a week. I lost my Gene in 2003 to cancer, but he didn't get to move with me. We had already bought the house in Goose Creek, but his cancer suddenly took him. But you know what? I fell in love with that man, and I'll be singing "He Will Be in My Heart Forever." One thing I remember is love letters straight from your heart. Keep us so near while apart. I sit alone in the night, but I can read all the love you write. I memorize every line. I kiss the name that you signed. And darling, once again I read right from the start. Love letters straight from your heart. And I still have those letters Gene wrote to me. Every now and then I'll go through the stack. I have them numbered because sometimes you can't read the dates anymore. A lot of times on the letter he would say Sunday afternoon, Tuesday night, or whatever. He didn't put the date always. And so I actually got them in order. So in case my daughters sat down one day and got them all over the floor and they'd get all mixed up, but I wanted to be in numerical order. And sometimes you can read the date on it, or sometimes he would put the date. And, they were just very dear to me. Letter 22 is the one he proposed to me by mail. And then I went on to have 32 letters before he finally came to see me. And then I have a larger group because he had to finish college. He had 1 year at Lehigh University. He was from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, where Lehigh University is. And he had worked a little bit at Bethlehem Steel, and then he went to Lehigh for 1 year, and then he got drafted and had to go in the Army. So, but I said, "You need to get that degree, Gene. That's very important for you. I can stop, but you have to finish college." And he did. He graduated from Lehigh in 1949. We were expecting our second daughter at that time. We finally got a place of our own. We had to live with his mother a few years because there wasn't any building going on. But anyway, we just had a very, very good life. He was very smart. Do you remember that song called Nature Boy? There was a boy, a very strange, enchanted boy. They say he wandered very far over land and sea. A little shy and sad of eye, but very wise was he. And then one day, one magic day, he came my way. And while we spoke of many things, fools and kings, this he said to me: "The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return." Have you ever heard that one, Eddie? Never heard Nature Boy. Have you ever heard that one, Josh?
No.
Have you ever heard that one, Janet?
Yeah, you introduced it to me a long time ago.
My Janet is here in the studio with me today. Janet's from Dallas, and she brought me. And I love that Nature Boy. And it reminds me of my Gene. He was a little shy, but he married this girl. He knew this girl was going to be in music forever. I was a voice major at USC, and really, really loved my music subjects, and I had a tennis class and different things. I had to take history. I had to take French so I could sing a song. The only song I ever sang was Plaisir d'amour, n'en dire comme mot, chagrin de toute la vie. I think my voice teacher told me those, the words of love may be wonderful to hear, and soon they die and pass away, or something like that. I don't know French anymore. I didn't study that much of it, but I had to sing something in French, so as a voice major. But I heard a men's chorus. I went in Charleston, Charleston's men's chorus, I think it was, downtown Charleston one night, and they sang that song. I could have gotten right up there and sung it with them. I could have sung a lot of the songs they sang. How's my time doing there, Eddie? Have you got any comments? If anybody said they have to hear a certain song?
I think a lot of people are enjoying your stories
Oh,
and your
my.
music. It's just been a real blessing. A lot of people have said things like, thanks for singing to me when they were in the hospital. The
Oh,
McKinneys,
my
Walt
goodness.
and Carol had mentioned that back in 2015, I think they said. So,
Yes, they know the year. See? Yes,
So-
I was there since 2000, actually December of '03. I lost Jean in October. And then in December, I said, I've got to sing. And I went to Trident Hospital, my closest, about 6 miles from my house. And I said, I'd like to volunteer. She said, good. And I said, I'd like to sing for the patients. And she said, oh, we never had anybody sing in the hospital. What do you play? I said, I don't play anything. I just go in and chat a little bit and then offer them a song or two. She said, I'll speak to my supervisor. You know what that sounds like to me? I doubt it. So I gave her the information and everything and talked a little bit more. And then I went to Roper St. Francis, which is about 18 or so miles from my house in Goose Creek. And I told her the same thing, Joan Perry. The first one was Stephanie Parker at Trident. This one was Joan Perry. And we talked a few minutes, and she said, I think that's a good idea. Come with me, Mary. She took me to a few waiting rooms to sing in and a few patients' rooms. And she said to the nurses, this is Mary. She's going to start singing around, and you might point out somebody that needs a song in their room or something. But anyway, she was very nice to me and put me on 4 hours every Friday and tried to call me back. And she said, I want you to take around my cookies on Thursday. And I said, may I sing for them? Sure. If they want a song, sing. Well, I had to be careful of anything in a public place. I couldn't sing religious songs. I didn't dare step on someone's toes in the public. In someone's waiting room, in a private room, I mean, if I went in their rooms, I'd say, maybe sing a song or so. Do you have a favorite hymn one day? I said, sometimes they'd say, oh, I love them all, or I'd say, well, let me pick the Old Rugged Cross, Amazing Grace, a couple others that I would come up with, and the Lord's Prayer. And they would pick one. Amazing Grace was probably the most called for. But I just was, one day a lady said, I love Victory in Jesus. I said, oh, that's a nice one. Let me see. I don't know when I had sung that one before, many, many years since I even heard it. I said, oh, I've got the chorus. Oh, victory in Jesus, my Savior forever. He sought me and bought me with his redeeming blood. He loved me ere I knew him, and all my love is due him. He plunged me to victory beneath the cleansing flood. Now, she was a happy camper. I think she sang along with me. She was happy just to get the chorus. So I went out in the hallway and ready to push the button on the elevator. I thought, wait a minute. I've got the verse. I went back in. I've got the verse for you. I heard an old story, how the Savior came from glory. And every word just fell right in place. Now, that lady was a happy camper. And Mary was happy, too, because I was able to pull the words together. A lot of times people say in the hospital, how many songs do you know? I said, like Jimmy Durante used to say, I got 1,000,000 of them. I don't know about 1,000,000, but I've surprised myself. And that day, I surprised myself I could pull all those words together for her. And that's one reason I kept doing it, even till I was singing, till I was still 90, let's see, I quit driving in 92. My children, not that I had any accidents, but my daughters thought I better stop driving. I might have that big accident that might be waiting around the corner from me. And so and when the COVID came along, actually I went to Roper St. Francis that very Friday, and I sang And I said, where are the volunteers today? And somebody said, we weren't supposed to come. They notified us. I said, they didn't notify me. Well, instead of 4 hours, I finally cut it short to 3, thinking me, I wasn't supposed to be here for some reason. I found out later what that reason was, that this virus had hit the world and had hit the United States. And no more volunteering and no more going to church. Well, it just turned out that Wednesday, I went to choir practice. And on Sunday morning, I would come out of my Sunday school class, and there's a class across the room, little children putting puzzles together, and I'm 4 years old, I think they were, and they'd be coloring and things. And I heard them singing Jesus Loves Me very softly. I got to the second gated door. I said, I know you can sing Jesus Loves Me stronger than that. Let's do it again. I'll help you and you help me. So some of them looked at me like, who is this lady speaking to us? And the teacher said, this is Miss Mary from the choir. So then we finished it. I said, okay, see you next week. Next week I stopped. Let's see how you do Jesus Loves Me today. So we sang it again. And then another week I might have said, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Just some little songs that I knew they could sing along. And sometimes they'd sing a little bit, and sometimes they were a little shy about it. But I said, okay, see you next week. I did that for probably about 6 weeks or more. And one day I went in, I passed to the first door, and I hear a little voice pipe up, the singing girl is coming. And I got to the second door. The singing girl is here. Now, if you don't think, I have been called the music lady, I've been called the singing volunteer, I've called singing Mary, I've been called Miss Mary, all sorts of things. But singing girl, that hit them all. I was 92 at that time. And that was the last Sunday I went to church, that week before the COVID hit us. I didn't go that Sunday, and Grace happened to come over here from Columbia. She says, Mom, you can't volunteer. You can't go to churches. Come and go home with us for a while. So I packed a few things and went to live with Grace. About 3 months, I finally said, I want to go home. I want to be in my own house. I had been fighting a cancer of my own. I said, if I'm on the last legs, I want to see my pictures and my things that I've kept so many years. But anyway, now I'm back there again, and I think that'll be probably forever. We sold my house very easily. I have no idea what time it is.
You're doing great. Sage asked, how many songs do you know? So you already answered her question.
Quite a few, Sage. That's her little granddaughter. It's what, how's she, 6, 5, 7, okay.
You're a great granddaughter.
Now, you see, I told you I have eight children. We lost one daughter to COVID in September last year. Not this September.
Last
But
18, 19 grandkids?
18 grandchildren. I have 31 great-grandchildren. Don't make me name them all. I can name a few, and I know whose parents or who they have some unusual ones. Sage is not your everyday name right there, but they're sweet, sweet children, and I love to see them now and then. And so, what's that time doing?
35 minutes.
Okay. Well, I did want to tell you about the new mothers I always went to see with my cookie cart. They would tell me to go to the new mothers first so they could have their afternoon rest. So I would go in and say, how are you today? Would you like a cookie, a little juice, or hot tea? And they would take what they would like. And I said, now I'm going to sing you a song. I want you to learn this song to sing for your baby. And I would sing, I'll be loving you always, with a love that's true always. When the things you planned need a helping hand, I will understand always, always. Days may not be fair, always. That's when I'll be there, always. Not for just an hour, not for just a day, not for just a year, but always. I said, now, you need to learn that song. Sometimes they would say, I wish I taped you and you could have sung it for the baby when I got home. Well, get up your phone, I'll do it again. So I sing it again. It just takes about a minute to do it. And so I walked in one young lady's room one day. She said, you sang for me 4 years ago when I had my little boy. I said, really? Did I sing I'll Be Loving You? Oh, yes, you did. I said, I'll see if I can find another one for you. But that was the song I adopted just to pass on to the mothers. But I thought it was a wonderful song of commitment to those babies that they needed to make. And if they could learn it was I thought that would be, your grandmother can teach it to you. Your grandmother will know that song. And sometimes they call it just Always. And then I started wondering one day, I wonder who wrote that song. I looked it up. I can Google. So I Googled it. And Irving Berlin wrote I'll Be Loving You Always in 1925. I was born in 1927. So you see, it was always around for me, as long as I knew, forever. And he also wrote God Bless America in 1918 when he was in World War I. Put it in his files, didn't do anything with it for a while. Kate Smith came along about 1938 or 39 and said, Mr. Berlin, can't you write us a patriotic song that we can sing and be proud of our country? And he went into his files and pulled that one out. Why do you like this one, God Bless America? Kate Smith took that song and ran with it, and it was her theme song. She sang it at concerts, and she sang it at ball games, and she sang it in concerts, and she sang it just everywhere. You saw God Bless America, Kate Smith. Kate Smith, God Bless America. And I want you, too, to think of Mary singing it sometimes, too, because I have sung it a few times in people's rooms, and it's another song that we do love for our country. And I want you to notice the little tam I'm wearing. Can you see that little tam? Well, when I had this little cancer problem, Winnie quit coloring my hair, and next thing I knew, it was white. I said, I got to color this hair up with something. So I took on the tam look. I have several different tams. This one was mailed to me by Judy Poindexter. You know, the camera lady at our church. You go, anybody joins the church, anybody baptized, she goes and take their pictures. And she just took it on herself to mail this tam to me. And I said, I'm going to have to wear that tam that Judy sent me with all the pearls on it. Somebody said, did you sew all those pearls on? No, it came with the pearls sewn on it already. But I think I'm going to sing one more for you that I think was sung by many, many service people. It's not a Valentine song. It's really a Christmas song. But I know you've heard many times, especially the wartime movies you'll see when they would sing this song and think of their true loves at Christmas. I'll be home for Christmas. You can plan on me. Please have snow and mistletoe and presents on the tree. Christmas Eve will find me where the love light beams. I'll be home for Christmas, if only in my dreams. Don't you know? You've heard many a service person would sing that song to their loved ones at home, whether it was their own family or their sweethearts or their wife. It just to whomever would write it. They wrote a lot of letters those days. People don't write letters anymore. Why not? I don't know. But I've written a lot of little poems here and there and all around. My father instilled that to me, to write poetry. One day a lady friend called me. She said, Mary, so-and-so that works with me, her birthday's coming up. Would you write her a poem for her birthday, please? I said, tell me something about her. Does she have a favorite food? Does she have a favorite song? Does she have favorite clothes to wear? What's her favorite color? What does she like to do? Does she like sports? What does she like? I got to have some information. I can't write a poem about someone I don't even know. So she told me a few things, and I wrote it down. I sat down and started working on it a little bit. I called her back and a little bit later, and I said, see what you think about this one. I just called her 10 minutes ago. She's already written the poem. Well, if you can do it, you can do it. You can make it fall into place. But Father's Day this year, Grace made me write a poem for the four fathers, her sons-in-law, and her husband. So I wrote this one, and I wrote that one, and on through the family. And everybody likes that personal touch. There we go again. I told you in the beginning of this show, write something for your Valentine, whether you're a man or a woman, and they will love it. Jean used to say to me, you always say, reach for the stars. Well, I did. I'd say, reach for the stars. Because that's what I try to tell my children to do. Reach for the stars. Whatever you want to do, reach for the top. Do the best. Do the best you can do. Now, I took a few years of piano as a child. I didn't do very well with it. I was a little bit, I didn't practice enough and got scared at a recital one day, and I said, no, I don't want to take piano anymore. But when I had my children, my oldest daughter, we bought a piano in April, and she wanted to learn to play. In April, my friend that taught piano, I'll start her in September. I don't start anybody for the summer. I don't teach in the summer. So I had a book there that was an adult, teach yourself to play the piano. I sat down with her. She learned a song that day. The next day, she learned another one. Every day, she learned a new song until it got up to about 16. I think that was the one that would slow you down a little bit. But every day, she just took to it like a duck takes to water. So I taught her. And when the next daughter was in third grade, I started teaching her. About third grade, I'd start them. I taught every one of them to play something. If they wanted to quit, they did. And Linda graduated as a piano major in college. I didn't give her that, but I gave her what I could, and later on she got bona fide teachers. Sometimes they want to stop after 3. Marty played the trumpet, and Janet played the trumpet, and a couple of the girls played clarinets, and, and they knew music. I wanted to be able to read music, to be familiar with music, and to be able to sing with them. Have you got anything special there that I might know, Eddie?
I think you've got a lot of people that are just making some awesome comments. They're talking about how it's great to see you and hear you and to hear these stories. The Tilford family, I think, has stopped all that they're doing, and they're watching.
Oh, my goodness.
They said it's making for a great homeschool moment for the kids.
Yes. They're in Dallas.
So,
Dallas.
And they love the pictures of seeing you and Jean together and everything, and just a lot of love coming your way.
Remember, this is my favorite. That's my favorite of Jean and me together, taken on the day he proposed to me. And I'll tell you, those love letters, I always said to the girls, if anything happens to me, if I go anywhere else to live, those love letters have to go with me. And I've got them. I have them there. But and he was smart. He was shy, as I wrote about Nature Boy. My Jean was a little bit shy. And this is sad of I, but actually he was a very smart fellow. I introduced him to crossword puzzles one day. Actually, I would work the one in the newspaper. I didn't have the little book those days, but I'd work the one in the paper every day. And I was a captive audience of sports. We were able to get our first television set because we can watch baseball on television, we can watch football on TV, and so he let us buy our first TV on that ground. And, of course, then one summer, I said to the girls and Marty, I said, I want you each to, this was summertime, they had a lot of time off, I want you to practice the piano now. Every hour you put in, I let you watch TV, approved TV. So I said not over 2 hours now, because you got to have turns at the piano, and they did.
And the piano didn't stop that summer.
Yeah. Now, they finally told me one day the big secret. Peggy wasn't nuts about practicing a lot. Grace loved to practice. Well, I had to iron in the basement those days, and I'd be down there ironing, and I'd hear a mistake, and I'd take the broom handle and hit the ceiling. I said, back up, you made a mistake there, go back 2 measures. So she'd do it. I'd hit it again. You did do it again, you made the mistake again. So I didn't know that they hit the exact wrong notes, but it had to at least harmonize. So I could keep on, I couldn't stand over them and teach like that. But I kept up with them, and they were, Peggy says, I'll trade with you for, if you'll do that, then you can watch. Grace didn't care about piano either. I mean, television much. So they told me later that Peggy would get up and Grace would take to the piano. I didn't know who was playing. I just heard the music. I didn't know that for many, many years. But I love them. And like I say, they all, even my son Marty, he can sit down and play. Grace plays beautifully. Grace plays. She, sometimes at her house, she'll tell me, come in and sing for the bed and breakfast people. Come in and sing for them when they finish their meal, Mom. So I'll go in there and sing a few songs, 10 or 15 minutes, talk a little to them, and just have a nice day. We're glad you came. And so I'll say, Grace, come in and play that special song. So she'll start off with a beautiful arrangement of how great their art is really. In fact, I think she played that for me the last time I did this show, which was in September, I believe. And it was at Grace's house. And Braden came. Thank you, Braden. He came to Grace's house in Ridgeway, and Grace came in, and played. She starts off, and then we sing a little. And then about the last verse, when we get to that chorus, I've got to stand, and they'll a lot of times sing along with me on that. I tell them to sing. But it keeps my voice going. It gives me a chance to get up and put on some clothes and get dressed, not sit around in pajamas all day. I got to get up and be decent when I go in there and sing for them a few minutes. So, I have been so blessed in life. I really have. I know at 94, I'm living on borrowed time, you might say. But I said sometimes I sat at home, I'm really good for nothing here. I can't drive anymore, and I don't get to go out anywhere much, and I can't go volunteer, and I can't get to church, and Winnie started taking me to church on Sunday morning. She'd take me to her house on Saturday night, and we'd pull up some old movies that she had never seen. I can't remember what some of them were. They're wonderful movies. Oh, I want to tell you, that song, I'll Be Loving You Always. And a lot of times people say, was that song from a movie, this song or that song? Where are they from? Oh, I don't know where they all came from. I just pulled them out of the air. But I looked that one up. And one day I went to see Pride of the Yankees. Mm-hmm. Gary Cooper, Pride of the Yankees, a wonderful baseball player for the Yankees. And all the way through that movie, you keep hearing, I'll be loving you always. It might be the band playing it or people dancing with it or on the radio. It's like a theme song of that movie, and I never paid attention to it.
Lou Gehrig story.
The Lou Gehrig story. He played the part, Lou Gehrig. Later on, he couldn't hold the bats. He said, put somebody else in. He had done so many wonderful things. He had many, many home runs, many special things he had done, and they appreciated him so much. That's what they call it, the pride of the Yankees. But they commemorated his life for the Yankees one day before one of the games, and he stood there and he said, I feel I'm the luckiest man in the world. And now we know they found this disease which they had never heard of before. It's a blood disease. I think it's some form of cancer or something, but ALS, whatever ALS stands for, but they just call it the Lou Gehrig disease, the first time they had ever identified that disease. Mm-hmm. But he thought he was the luckiest man in the world. And
Mom, I want to bring you back to piano lessons. Josh, your grandson, is teaching Sage.
Wonderful. My grandson is teaching his daughter, who is my great-granddaughter. Mm-hmm. And they're in Dallas, and that's where Janet came from. Winnie had a little surgery on her leg today, and she's doing fine with it, but it was just a little Mohs treatment. And so Janet says, I'm going to come spend the week with Winnie. And I said, well, I'll be here till Thursday. Grace will come back and get me. And I told you I'm going to see Andrea Bocelli Friday night, didn't I? Oh, man, that was wonderful. But I've had so many blessings. One day, one of Grace's friends called, and she said, we got tickets to see the Gaither Vocal Band, which is the four singers and Bill Gaither always. He's the fifth for the vocal band, they call it. And they had a few other singers to sing with them at one of the churches in Lexington. And Grace called, and she said, they're sold out. The tickets are gone. But, Mom, we're going to drive over there. It's about a 45-minute drive across town. And if we can't get tickets, we'll just come back. And if you promise you won't cry. I said, I won't cry, but I'll be very disappointed. Well, so we packed up and went to the church a little about 5:30 for a 7 o'clock program. And she said, now, you stay in the car. I'm going to go out and talk to these people in line, see if anybody got any extra tickets. She got up to the front, and the lady came out from the inside, and she said, I have 2 tickets, and you can have them free. She said, oh, no, I'll pay you. No. Where's your mother? Well, she's right here in the car, so she bring her in. So went in with my walker, and then she said, come on inside. It's too cold for you to stand out here with these people. And then another man said, you go on in and get a seat. None of the seats were numbered, so they could sit anywhere. Guess where we were? Front row. We want to be where the action is. Not only am I short, I'm getting shorter and shorter, but we want to be where we can see everything and enjoy it. And it was when Kevin Williams came out to warm up the crowd. Now, I've been to 5 Gaither cruises with them and a few Myrtle Beach and Gatlinburg. So Kevin Williams has gotten to know me. And I told my daughters, he's going to know me when we get on that ship. Don't be surprised. He will know me. He comes out to warm up the crowd before every show with his guitar and let the crowd sing. And the first show there he was, and he looked down and said, hi, Mary. And my daughters looked at each other, and Grace said, she told you he knows her. Bless his heart. So that night, he came out to warm up the crowd. I had on my white tam, which is very bright, and even in the dark, you can see that little white tam. And And he came down to warm up the crowd, and he looked down and says, "Hi, Mary." He doesn't turn off his mic, so everybody there knew he was speaking to somebody named Mary down front. And life just goes on. I have too many blessings, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful to be here with you and sing these wonderful love songs. I hope I hit a few that you knew or needed to be introduced to. A couple, Eddie said he had never seen. And I think we might just draw that to a close. Okay, Josh, you ready to close up shop? Thank you so much. Bye-bye, Braden. Mwah.